commented this. I think it was in my 2 videos ago. I think it was how I should get a book, and just read it or read. And that's actually what I'm gonna be doing tonight. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really read a lot, or I don't read at all actually. But I picked up this book today. Let me see if you guys. So I'm trying. It's Atomic Habits, and it's alright. If you guys can see it. I'm trying to get it into the frame, but I have to like back up a little bit. But yeah, this is the book that I'm gonna be reading for you guys today, or for this video. So yeah, I guess without like just well, I don't know what I was gonna say without talking too much, but I'm gonna be talking this whole video, right? So yeah, I guess it's alright. It's just I'm not very used to talking a lot, and I'm trying to like, cause I have the setting different, but whatever. Let's just yeah. So I'm gonna be reading the back. It's not much, but let me just read a little bit and then. So discover the secret to results that last, packed with evidence-based self-improvement strategies. Atomic Habits will teach you how to design habits that work for you rather than against you. So yeah, this is like a self-help book or like self-improvement, right? And I actually, so I mean, I have read some help books, right? I'm sorry. I have read some a few, not too much, but I never really finish them. And when it comes to like these kinds of books, right? For like them to, I guess, how do you say this? For them to actually, like, or for it to, help you, right? I don't know. I'm not trying to like, say this in like a way that, well, like for them to like, really help. I guess you have to really follow, because they won't help you if you just read them and not, go through with what they say, right? In a way, if that makes any sense. I mean, that's what I feel like, but yeah. So let me do some like tapping with it a little. Alright, so tiny changes, remarkable results. Atomic Habits. An easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones, and it says over 10 million copies sold by James Clear. Alright, sorry guys, I had to adjust like my setup a little bit, move the mic a little closer to me, and let me move this a little more back. Hopefully it doesn't. Okay, it's because I don't really have a lot of room here, but okay, so I'm gonna be reading, yeah, whatever, right? I already said it, but okay, so it says, no matter your goals, Atomic Habits offers a proven framework for getting 1% better every day. James Clear, one of the world's leading experts on habit formation, reveals practical strategies that will teach you exactly how to master the tiny behaviors that lead to remarkable results. If you're having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you. The problem is your system. Bad habits repeat themselves not because you don't want to change it, but because you have the wrong system for change. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. In Atomic Habits, you'll get a plan that can take you to new heights. Clear is known for his ability to distill complex topics into simple behaviors that can be readily applied to daily life and work. Here he draws on ideas from shape the way you think about progress and give you the tools and techniques you need to transform your habits. Whether you are an athlete looking to win a championship, a leader hoping to optimize an organization, or an individual who wishes to quit smoking, lose weight, reduce stress, and achieve success that lasts. Alright, here we go. So, introduction. My story. On the final day of my sophomore year of high school, I was hit in the face with a baseball bat as my classmate unimaginable to me when I started. For example, for the first time in my life, I made it a habit to lift weights multiple times per week. And in the years that followed, my 6'4" frame bulked up from featherweight 170 to a lean 200 pounds. When my sophomore season arrived, I earned a starting role on the pitching staff. By my junior year, I was voted team captain, and at the end of the season, I was selected for the all-conference team. But it was not until my senior year that my sleep habits, study habits, and strength training habits really began to pay off. 6 years after I had been hit in the face with a baseball bat, flown to the hospital, and placed into a coma, I was selected as the top male athlete at Denison University and named to the ESPN Academic All-America team, an honor given to just 33 players across the country. By the time I graduated, I was listed in the school record books in 8 different categories. That same year, I was awarded with the university's highest academic honor, the President's Medal. I hope you'll forgive me if this sounds boastful. To be honest, there was nothing legendary or historic about my athletic career. I never ended up playing professionally. However, looking back on those years, I believe I accomplished something just as rare. I fulfilled my potential, and I believe the concepts in this book can help you fulfill your potential as well. We all face challenges in life. This injury was just one of mine, and the experience taught me a critical lesson. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you're willing to stick with them for years. We all deal with setbacks, but in the long run, the quality of our lives often depends on the quality of our habits. With the same habits, you'll end up with the same results, but with better habits, anything is possible. Maybe there are people who can achieve incredible success overnight. I don't know any of them, and I'm certainly not one of them. There wasn't one defining moment on my journey. From medically induced coma to academic All-American, there were many. It was a gradual evolution, a long series of small wins and tiny breakthroughs. The only way I made progress, the only choice I had, was to start small, and I employed the same strategy a few years later when I started my own business and began working on this book. How and why I wrote this book. In November 2012, I began publishing articles at jamesclear.com. For years, I had been keeping notes about my personal experiments with habits, and I was finally ready to share some of them publicly. I began by publishing a new article every Monday and Thursday. Within a few months, this simple writing habit led to my first 1,000 email subscribers. And by the end of 2013, that number had grown to more than 30,000 people. In 2014, my email list expanded to over 100,000 subscribers, which made it one of the fastest growing newsletters on the internet. I had felt like an imposter when I began writing 2 years earlier, but now I was becoming known as an expert on habits, a new label that excited me but also felt uncomfortable. I had never considered myself a master of the topic, but rather someone who was experimenting alongside my readers. In 2015, I reached 200,000 email subscribers and signed a book deal with Penguin Random House to begin writing the book you are reading now. As my audience grew, so did my business opportunities. I was increasingly asked to speak at top companies about the science of habit formation, behavior change, and continuous improvement. I found myself delivering keynote speeches at conferences in the United States and Europe. In 2016, my articles began to appear regularly in major publications like Times, Entrepreneur, and Forbes. Incredibly, my writing was read by over 8 million people that year. Coaches in the science supports everything I've written. This book is not an academic research paper. It's an operating manual. You'll find wisdom and practical advice front and center as I explain the science of how to create and change your habits in a way that is easy to understand and apply. The fields I draw on: biology, neuroscience, philosophy, psychology, and more have been around for many years. What I offer you is a synthesis of the best ideas smart people figured out a long time ago, as well as the most compelling discoveries scientists have made recently. My contribution, I hope, is to find the ideas that matter most and connect them in a way that is highly actionable. Anything wise in these pages you should credit to the many experts who preceded me. Anything foolish, assume it is my error. Backbone of this book is my 4-step model of habits: cue, craving, response, and reward, and the 4 laws of behavior change that evolve out of these steps. Readers with a psychology background may recognize some of these terms from operant conditioning, which was first proposed as stimulus response reward by B.F. Skinner in the 1930s and has been popularized and more recently as cue, routine, reward, and the power of habit by Charles Duhigg. Behavioral scientists like Skinner realized that if you offer the right reward or punishment, you could get people to act in a certain way. But while Skinner's model did an excellent job of explaining how external stimuli influenced our habits, it lacked a good explanation for how our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs impact our behavior. In it, internal states, our moods and emotions matter too. In recent decades, scientists have begun to determine the connection between our thoughts, feelings, and behavior. This research will also be covered in these pages. In total, the framework I offer is an integrated model of the cognitive and behavioral sciences. I believe it is one of the first models of human behavior to accurately account for both the influence of external stimuli and internal emotions on our habits. While some of the language may be familiar, I am confident the details and the applications of the 4 laws of behavioral change will offer a new way to think about your habits. Human behavior is always changing, situation to situation, moment to moment, second to second. But this book is about what doesn't change. It's about the fundamentals of behavior, the lasting principles you can rely on year after year, the ideas you can build a business around, build a family around, build a life around. There is no right way to create better habits. But this book describes the best way I know, an approach that will be effective regardless of where you start or what you're trying to change. The strategies I cover will be relevant to anyone looking for a step-by-step system for improvement, whether your goals center on health, money, productivity, relationships, or all of the above. As long as human behavior is involved, this book will be your guide. Alright everyone, so I read that was the introduction. It was literally only 10 pages and right now we're at like 35 minutes. But once I edit it, it's probably gonna be a little shorter, so like about 30 minutes, right? And it was 10 pages. I don't know if I was going too slow. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure I was going pretty slow. But regardless, I hope it was, relaxing for you guys a little bit. I hope you guys, relax, sleep, whatever you guys use it for. But yeah, anyways, sorry. Anyways, like I said, of course, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's video, and just let me know if you guys want to keep seeing, this, what I just did, this video, just reading. Regardless, I'm still, gonna be doing some more talking in my videos. It's not always gonna just be, reading.